Well, Bernie, welcome to another two-ball golf show.
They said it wouldn't last, Dan.
Well, this is episode 2, Bernie.
Exactly.
And we're here again. Talking Ryder Cup this week. A number of things to get through. It is the hot topic. One of the biggest hot topics is probably the picks of the Ryder Cup.
100%, Dan. It's made more controversial with the whole Live Tour and players playing on different tours now, and eligibility and being picked for the Ryder Cup depending on where you play seems to be a theme for me.
Do you think, so this is a massive question, okay? Do you think 6 captains' picks is just too much?
It gives the captain a lot of freedom and a lot of versatility. He can pair people up. He can bring in people that he'd want in the team. I think in the past, when there's less choice, I know the Americans were first to add extra picks, and then it was the Europeans suddenly decided that that was a good idea as well. That in the past they might have had players on the team that they didn't particularly want as a captain.
Okay.
Players they probably didn't think were good enough, that wouldn't blend as a team, and there'd be players that are slightly out of form that they'd probably want in the team for various reasons. So I do think it gives them a lot more variety and variation. But the captain now plays a bigger part in the overall result and match, I believe.
Okay.
What do you think?
I would like to have seen that maybe at 4.
You think picking half the team is too many?
I think picking half the team is possibly too much.
Yeah.
I think if it was I would say between 3 and 4. I think that would be a little bit more of a. I think it would open up less opportunity for this controversial talk about who should be in, who shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
I think that's where I would sit with it. I think qualifying for the Ryder Cup is extremely important.
Yeah.
And I think it gives those players as well, from a confidence point of view, the opportunity to go into that event knowing that they've qualified for their space, rather than
deserve to be on it, picked and been maybe a friend of a captain particularly.
But also you got to think, anytime a media get involved and start talking about maybe a player that's not necessarily in form, and we'll come on to maybe some of those in just a moment, but players that maybe are coming into the Ryder Cup maybe not in form, but also players that are friends of the captain, potential, or have been picked because of experience or whatever it is, the media can jump on that, and therefore it can create, I think, maybe a little bit of extra pressure for that player going into the event.
I would say being a wild card or a captain's pick, as you might say, would bring extra pressure because you haven't necessarily earned your spot in that team. So in the past, if you were a pick, I mean, I guess some of the players would have so much confidence they'd feel like they deserved to be there and should have been there.
Yeah.
And they might have missed out for a couple of different reasons. But being a captain's pick would bring its own pressure, I believe, on its own.
Well, let's start with the American team, shall we?
Yeah.
If I just read out the players that are in the team. You've got Sam Burns, Patrick Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler, Brian Harman, Open champion, Max Homa, Brooks Koepka, Liv, Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. Any of those players do you feel maybe didn't deserve the spot?
I reckon the American team is slightly easier for me to pick and slightly less controversial than what the European team is. Mainly because there's a lot of world-class golfers in there who I believe deserve to be in there.
Yep. And
it's a bit of personal preference, one over the other. It's 50-50 for me. I would say every single one of those players is strong. I would say every single one of those players would have a massive shout for being in the Ryder Cup team. And that is a strong, strong side, in my opinion, on paper. Yep. Thankfully, the Ryder Cup is played on grass, not paper.
Not paper, correct. Well,
what about yourself? Is anyone who stands out?
No, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think that all of these players are deserved of a spot in that Ryder Cup team.
I think there's a really good blend as well. You've got some really good ball strikers.
Yeah.
Some world-class ball strikers. You've got some great home players. You've got some good drivers of the ball. You've got some guys who hold the world, like Brian Harman. And you've got some guys who, you know, the attitude and the fighting spirit, they never know when they're beaten, like Spieth and, you know, and I can already see some really strong pairs there, as well as a strong singles push on the Sunday.
Okay, well then let's ask the next question then. If there's all those players in that team deserve that spot, are there any that are sat out of the Ryder Cup team that also deserved a spot and put Captain Zach Johnson in a very awkward position?
Yeah.
Who would you say?
100%. I mean, they've got so much strength in depth, as we mentioned on the previous podcast, but I mean, if Brooks Brooks is in there. If Bryson DeChambeau was still a PGA Tour member, then he would have qualified on performances and on levels of golf. But I can see the reason he's not picked is because it would be quite divisive having him in the team, because he's a bit of a Marmite character, isn't he? He's loved or hated. Why rock the boat when you've got that strength in depth to pick him? Would be, for me, a massive gamble.
Okay. The one player that, there's two other players that I've got off the PGA Tour, but maybe you'll jump in as well. But the one that jumps out to me is Tony Finau.
Yeah, I mean, he's a major champion. He's...
Major champion? Is he won the major?
Yeah, US Open. No, you don't think he has? No, maybe he's not major champion. I'm sure he was.
He's not won a major. No,
but he's going to... Oh, no.
Tell you what, he was very close to winning a major, Bernie.
So if you play this in 2 years' time, he'd have won a major.
Oh, good thinking, yeah. Well,
but...
Tony Finau's won 6 times on the PGA Tour.
Okay, so he's not as prolific as I thought. So I would say...
But he's had a good year. He's won some tournaments this year.
Yeah, but what does he deserve to be in there ahead of some of the guys that are in there who are major champions, who are more informed than he is, who have qualified? So I'd say he probably would himself personally feel disappointed he's not in.
Yeah.
But does he deserve to be in there 100%? No.
Keegan Bradley,
now he's an interesting one, because he's a bit of a Bryson character, isn't he? He's not the most liked person on tour.
Think so?
No, he's not. There's stuff, there's rumours and things, isn't there, that he's not... Historic rumours and stuff. Same as Patrick Reed is another one that potentially you'd want him on your team, you wouldn't want him against you. But do the Americans need those characters on their team? And I say no, they don't.
Well, I think we can both agree that actually the US team is looking very good.
Very strong, yeah.
Very strong.
Very strong.
I think if Justin Thomas brings his game...
I mean, he could rise to the occasion. He's fortunate to be playing.
Yeah.
With current form over the last year.
Yeah.
But then he forms good partnerships, and he's friends with the likes of Fowler, Spieth, and the younger guys. So he's a good partner, and he's a world-class player out of form. Okay,
moving on to the European team. Okay. So let's go with the guys that weren't picked. So Matt Fitzpatrick. We've got
these are the guys picked. Yeah.
Yeah, these are the guys. No, not picked. These are the guys that qualified. Tyrrell Hatton, Victor Hovland, Robert McIntyre, John Ram, and Rory McIlroy. And then the captain's picks are Sepp Straka, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, Nikolai Højgaard, and Ludwig Aberg.
Yeah.
How does that team... Oh, Tommy Fleetwood as well. Didn't see him there. So how does that team look to you?
Okay, there's bits of it I really like.
Yeah.
I like the fact he's taken a risk and gone with a bit of youth, a bit of inexperience, but someone who's very hot, who's recently turned professional. I think it was in June this year.
Yeah.
He won the week before. The Swedish guy, Aberg. Yeah. I like that, because he is going to be, in my opinion, over the next 4 or 5 years, one of the best players in the world. So I like the fact he's getting early Ryder Cup experience. He's an on-form player, so I really like that choice. So I like that. A couple of things I have issues with.
Yep.
A couple of players that I believe, it's controversial, and I'm going to say it anyway. That have been picked because they are friends with a couple of the better players in the team, and also Luke Donald's mates.
Okay.
And I would have liked to have seen...
Are you going to name and shame those individuals, Ben?
I think people would already know who they are, but I mean, I would say that Shane Lowry is very fortunate to be picked. Okay. I know he's a major champion.
Yeah.
But not in great form, not had a great season.
Sort of player that could rise to the occasion, though.
Yeah, exactly. you can... We're only speculating, and obviously the proof is in the pudding and the event is going on in a few weeks' time, then this could be proven completely wrong. But I mean, if I was Shane Lowry, I feel very fortunate to be playing. I feel like I'll be playing because I'm mates with Rory McIlroy, and they're obviously going to form a partnership at some stage during the Ryder Cup.
Okay.
Justin Rose, I know he's won in America.
Pebble Beach,
which is a good one to win, but he's in the twilight of his career.
Yep.
He's early 40s, 42 or 43, I think he is. Is he going to play another Ryder Cup after this one? I would say it's doubtful.
Okay.
Because his form has deteriorated over the last 4 or 5 years to a level. I mean, he was in the top 2 or 3 in the world not that long ago, and he's now sort of moving down at a rate. So I'd say it's probably his last Ryder Cup. Would I have liked to seen another young player in there? Yes, I would, personally.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
I know
but who would come out of that team in order to be replaced by a younger player?
Well, there's one man that stands out, isn't there?
Go on.
Polish lad.
Meronk.
I mean, he's won on that course.
He won the title.
He's won the title around that same course. So he's a past winner. He knows that course. He's got confidence around that course. He's third on the DP. As it stands right now. He's third, so he's in massive. He's won numerous tournaments.
Yeah.
He's playing some great golf.
Yeah.
But there had to be a place for, in my opinion, there had to be a place for him in the side, and the easiest or the two of the places that would have been available for me, Justin Rose and Shane Lowry.
Yeah, and I would agree with that because I think that looking at this side, there is an opportunity there for me, and I know you can't. You still got to build a team for long term as well.
Yeah.
And I just look at Adrian Meronk and I think, get him in the team, get some experience under him, even if he doesn't have the best Ryder Cup. You know he's going to be there or thereabouts over the next 10 years or whatever in his career. So get him in there, get him some experience.
On home soil.
He's not on home in Europe. You mean,
European,
but he's a winner around that tour. You know, so he's a good player. We know he can compete, but
he's playing regularly in Europe, which is another key component. If you're over here, the courses are different. You know, it's a different style of game at times.
Yeah.
You've got other things you need to contend with. The ball doesn't go as far. We know that because in America it goes further. They play drop and stop, whereas you have to have more variety of shots, in my opinion, to play on the DP World Tour.
Yeah.
Why not? Why is he not playing?
Well, I think he should be in there over Justin Rose.
Me too. The other one that I feel is a little bit lucky is Højgaard.
Højgaard's lucky to get in?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Only from the fact, I mean, I've done a bit more research on the European side, and he's don't get me wrong, he's all great players.
Yeah.
But his record's not particularly that great.
Yeah, well, he tied fifth in the event that Adrian Meronk won.
Yeah, but he's obviously not using that as criteria because he'd have had Meronk in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's, you know, and he could become a Ryder Cup legend for all I know. He could win all 5 games.
Yeah.
He could be something special. But I feel that of the people in the team, he's going to be the one that I'd be surprised if he plays more than singles and maybe gets a 4-ball game. But that would be it, really.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what about yourself? Anyone else stand out?
I literally think of one player and that is it. I literally think of that one player that I think could have gone in as a little bit more experience. I'm gutted for him, really.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but I'm gutted for him. We met him at the Open, didn't we? And I think he could have taken the spot of. I think Justin Rose he's a good player. We all know Justin Rose is a good player. He's one of our favourites. He's an English player.
Yeah.
You know, so he's one of our favourites. But I just think it was an opportunity. I don't think Justin Rose is like an extremely better than Meronk, certainly at this moment in time. Therefore, what would have been the worst that could happen by putting him over Justin Rose? So that's my thoughts on it anyway, from there.
It's all opinions, isn't it? I mean, I bet there's people watching this now that are saying, well, I wouldn't have picked him and I'd have picked, you know, them instead. And it's all about opinions, isn't it? And hopefully it's a competitive Ryder Cup, and that being on European soil, I mean, if you were Ryder Cup captain of the European, so you're in Luke Donald's shoes now, which we've done a little bit of that by picking our side or a few changes we'd have made. Is there anything you'd do to really give us a home advantage?
Well, I think you and I have just had the opportunity to play one of the nicest and best golf courses in the world.
Oh, 100%.
Le Golf National in just outside Paris.
Yeah.
We've just been over and done our Ryder Cup special, which will go on to my channel.
It was the home of the 2018
It was.
Ryder Cup, if anybody...
Where the Europeans dominated the Americans, winning 17.5 to 10.5. And what they did, and we had the opportunity to speak with Philippe, who was the director of golf or the general manager of the Golf National. He was there for the Ryder Cup, as was Laura, who was head of the marketing side of things. And he had the opportunity to spend, obviously, a lot of time with the captains.
Yeah.
And certainly Thomas Bjorn, I believe, was captain there. And what they did is the golf course was long, but what they did is they tightened it right up. And it was seriously, seriously tight for those guys. We played it in tight conditions. Yeah. That rough is thick because they're getting it ready for the French Open, which is going to be played around there in a couple of weeks after this goes out.
If you miss the fairway, I mean, a couple of times I was literally a pace and a half of the fairway. Yeah. And I was literally getting a lofted wedge and popping it back onto the fairway because the lie wasn't good enough to advance it anymore. Yeah. So they'd have to do that for me. They'd have to pinch it in at certain areas. Yeah. To make it not all about hitting the bombing driver.
I mean, they will
and
know.
slow the greens down, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and they will know. But the problem you've got there, Bernie, is that a lot of our team are playing on the USPGA. You know, it's very heavy on the USPGA side of things. There's not massive amounts of players that are playing full-time on the European Tour, should we say, DP World. True. So, but they will know everything there is to know about the US team. So they will be looking at how far each player hits it. They'll be looking at the pinch point areas, and it will be measured up. Yeah. You know, the depth that they will go into to figure out how they'll gain that advantage. So pinch points, you're going to find players that they're going to have to try and take drivers out of play for lots of these players that are coming out from the US team and trying to get them into fairway woods or really making it tricky for them when it gets into their zone of hitting driver if they get it wrong. Yeah. So that's what I would expect to see. But I do like that, what you said about maybe making those greens just a fraction slower.
That was the main point I sort of got from the 2018. The greens were fractionally slower than they were used to.
Yeah. But they will measure. They will look at the weak shots for certain players. They will look at all the positives and negatives on strokes gained, things like that. Yeah. You know, you may see pin positions in certain spots that, you know, if a large proportion of the US team prefer to fade the ball than draw the ball, you may start to see those pins in the left-hand side of the golf course. Yeah. You know, they go into so much detail with these players. No stone is really left unturned when it comes to player v player sort of thing, you know. So it'll be interesting. And on that note, Bernie, because I think this is like they're the unsung heroes, I call them, the unsung heroes of any Ryder Cup. Do we really know the vice captains and captains of the Ryder Cup this year? And I'm going to ask you to now flick on to the European group of captains. And how many have you got in your team?
So there's 6 captains and there's a captain and there's 5 vice captains. So the captain is obviously Luke Donald. Yeah. Vice captain Thomas Bjorn. So he's a past captain in the Ryder Cup, isn't he?
Thomas Bjorn, yes, past captain.
Nicholas
Colstars, yeah.
He's a former player, isn't he? He's not been captain.
No.
Eduardo Molinari.
Yeah.
Again,
Ryder Cup player for the, but he's obviously it's in Italy, so that helps. He was a Ryder Cup player at Celtic Manor.
Yeah, he partnered his brother there, didn't he?
He did.
His brother is another captain, Francesco Molinari, and then finally Jose Maria Olafable, who has been a previous captain.
Medina winner. Yeah. So you've got 2 captains in there that have won.
You've got
and then the rest have won Ryder Cups.
Yeah, and you've got 2 Italians in Italy, which is
beautiful. Then moving over to the US team, their captain. So Captain Zach Johnson. You've got Steve Stricker, who was the Ryder Cup captain that won last time in the US. You've got Davis Love III. You've got Jim Furyk. You've got Freddie Couples. And you've got Stuart Sink.
Strong as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Extremely strong group there. So I've got something a little bit fun for you. Who
was that
would
not
win?
fun with previous stuff?
That wasn't that much fun
Okay.
though. Who would win the match if, let's say it was like it all came down to the end and it was like tied, and they said, right, we're now going to send out the captains to go head to head to see who's going to win the Ryder Cup.
That's a tricky one, isn't it?
Luke Donald versus Zach Johnson.
Okay,
Who's winning that?
it's a tricky one, isn't it? I would say I'd go with Zach because I think he's still competing at a slightly higher level. I know Luke's still playing DP World Tour, and he's done that for the main reason he wanted to see players. I would say Zach Johnson because he's still playing in he's playing the majors, isn't he? Slightly more competitive. What do you think?
I would like to say that at this moment in time, just looking at this through the second round of the Irish Open, Luke Donald is tied 29th at 4 under par.
Okay, so you're going.
So I'm not. I'm going to give them a tie.
Half.
They're going to have a half. It's going to be a battle to the end.
I'm going Zach Johnson.
You're going Zach Johnson?
3 and 2.
Okay, 3 and 2. Who's your second guy next to? Who's on the right-hand side?
I've got Thomas Bjorn.
Thomas Bjorn going up against Steve Stricker. Oof. Who's winning that?
Oof. I'm going Steve Stricker.
I'm going Steve Stricker, and the reason I'm going for Steve Stricker is because he's still very competitive on the Champions Tour.
Yeah.
But also, Bjorn has been out of action for a while.
Yeah.
He's not been playing. He's had some injuries, so he's
popped on a little bit of weight as well.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he's let himself go a little bit, and that's going to affect his game, I think.
Right,
he's not going to get that rotation on the backswing.
Okay, your third player, that middle left there.
So I have got Nicholas Colsaert.
Nicholas Colsaert's up against Davis Love III.
Oh, that's definitely Nicholas is winning that.
You think so?
He's overpowering him.
Overpowering Davis Love III. I mean, Davis Love III was one of the longest players on tour for years.
So Nicholas, what's happened to him recently anyway? Because he was a Ryder Cup player not that long ago, and looked like a world. Yeah.
I'm with you though.
I'm going European. That's an easy win, that one.
I'm going Nicholas Colsaert.
3 and 2.
3 and 2 again. Yeah. There's a lot of 3 and 2s going on. Right, my next player, I've got Jim Furyk on the right hand side middle.
Yeah.
Who have you got?
I've got Edoardo Molinari.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Jim Furyk.
I am as well.
You going Jim Furyk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So then we've got Freddie Couples.
Yeah.
Is up against on the left hand side there.
Francesco Molinari.
Okay, Francesco Molinari wins that.
Yeah, I'm going for that one as well.
Okay, and then the final one I've got is Stuart Sink.
Yeah, and I've got Jose Maria.
Jose Maria. Stuart Sink wins that.
Yeah, only because I wouldn't want Jose hitting it off the tee.
But you wouldn't really force him to bat him.
No, if he could just drop his ball on the fairway, I'm going Jose. Definitely.
So I don't know what the result of that was then.
No idea. It's carnage.
It was carnage. But you said, I mean, we've pretty much tied up, haven't we? So you're saying one, I'm saying a half there.
Yeah.
So 1 all, 2 all, 3.5. I'm saying 3.5, 2.5.
Yeah.
You're saying
4-2.
4-2.
We can't be wrong either. Do you know why?
Because it'll never happen.
It's never going to happen. We're not playing each other.
I think that's quite good. I like that.
There's a quick question, and you probably won't even know the answers. I don't even know why it's a question.
Okay.
But why do the Ryder Cup captains only do it for 1 year now, or one event? Why don't they do it like in the past? You'd have like people do it for 2, 3, or even 4 times. Why do they just do once and then pass it on? Why don't they stay? Like if you win it, surely you'd want to defend it, or like it all worked really well. Let's keep him as captain. Like you can't. There's no longevity, is there? There's no captain's longevity. It's like it's a one-off, isn't it? Why?
Well, I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because I'm pretty sure Davis Love has done it twice.
No, I mean they don't do it, what recently. No one's done it.
Not back to back.
Yeah, no one's done it consecutively.
No, they haven't. No.
Well, why? I don't understand why.
Well, maybe now that Liv's kicked on, that probably they'll have to because they'll run out of players because all the players are going over to Liv.
Potentially. I mean, I just think that if you went to Luke Donald, right, you're doing it. We're giving you a 6-year contract. You've got the next 3. You can build your team. Then I don't know. I just think a bit of longevity in the captaincy
would be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they change every year.
Don't know.
Unless it's like an old boys' club and they're just passing it around.
Well, maybe that's what they do, and maybe when obviously the Ryder Cup brigade get to hear and see this podcast, that maybe they'll pop it down in the comments and tell us exactly what they think. So if you are watching Ryder Cup captains,
and why do you have to be a past player to be captain? Because like in football, the former players don't always make good managers, and some of the best managers in the world never played at a high level.
I feel like you're my daughter asking me all these questions about general life. I don't have the answers. Sorry, I don't know that.
I've been firing general questions all my life.
I would love to make it up, but there's so many people going to be watching and listening to this that they're just going to beat me down. So
why?
I don't know.
Why?
Because that's golf, isn't it? Golf has been like that for so long. It's as you say, it's a bit of an, I wouldn't say old boys club, but I'd say it's a boys club.
Yeah.
You know? That's what the media is saying about the selection of both teams in some ways. They've both been said that it's a bit of a boys club going on. You know? Well, mates, picking your mates.
Well, I mean, I can only use my dad gave me an example when he was playing for Essex, and they were the best.
Table tennis.
Yeah, table tennis. And they were the best at the time. They were the best county in England, and dad was number 1 in England, and the number 2 played for Essex as well. So he had 1 and 2 in England.
Yeah.
And they had like number 5 or 6 ranked in England who didn't get picked. It was a 3-man team, didn't get picked.
Yeah.
And the guy that was like 73rd got picked. And Dad asked the selector why this guy wasn't playing, and he said, "Oh, the other guy's playing. He's my mate." And you'll win. It doesn't matter who's your third player. You're going to win.
There you go. You know that as well as I do, because we've been through. You still play club golf. You still play, the county stuff in years gone by. Do you think that there's certain people that should have been in the team that 100%. Weren't in the team, and so it's
definitely.
It runs right the way through
sport.
Yeah, I mean it's probably improved over the years, but it's still there, isn't it? It's still there. Mm. So, a couple of other things that I want to mention.
Yep.
Tour school,
yeah.
So, James Ruth, as we're creating this bit of content, James Ruth has just got through the first stage of tour school.
Absolutely brilliant. His first 2 rounds were steady.
Yes.
But not. He was sort of just on the mark, wasn't he, or just below the mark? And he said he needed a couple of good low rounds, which he's shown that he's world class and has produced 2 back-to-back rounds, which have got him through, which is brilliant. James has all the ability in the world, as you've seen, and should have been. Well, I mean, has had a European Tour then, wasn't it? European Tour card.
Yep.
But he should be playing on the European Tour, in my opinion, or DP World Tour. And it's brilliant that he's still got the ability and still got the passion and the hunger to still try and get to the level where I feel like his golf deserves to be.
Well, he shot rounds of 2 under, past 71, shot 69, so he's 4 under, thinking that he's got to pick up his pace because he was tied 31st, and I think it was top 20 get in.
Yeah.
So he had to pick his pace up from 38th to 31st, and then he got it going a little bit. He shot 66.
Yeah, brilliant.
Which is got him to -9 total, got his position up to tied 19th.
So he's right on the number.
Knocking on the door. Yeah. And then final round, another 66 to shoot 14 under total, which finished him in a tied position for 6th.
That's awesome.
Which qualified him through. So got off to a tough start, should we say, for his standards.
Didn't take himself out of the tournament, which shows his class. When I think I read a couple of posts where he said his putter was a bit cold. So once he's got the flat stick,
I mean, level par for him is going to be 2 under par, isn't it? Maybe 3 under par, depending on the par 5s.
Yeah.
So to shoot for him around level par when he's not overly on his form, I think is pretty good. And then he just put his foot down when he needed to, and this is what James does.
Yeah, brilliant.
What good players do, isn't it? When needed.
Fingers crossed he can secure
crack on from there,
or even get a Challenge Tour one, because I think you get some. Do you get some if you've different
places?
You
get once you get through. So what will happen now is he'll go for, that's 4 rounds. So there would have been 2 rounds and a cut, and then another 2 rounds which he's gone through that. Now he'll go to what he calls second stage, which will be the same setup: 2 rounds cut, 2 rounds to final stage.
I thought straight into final now.
Final stage, which will be 6 rounds.
Yeah.
So it's 14 rounds in total that you're going to have to go through to get your final
tour card. It's a lot of golf, isn't it?
It's a lot of golf.
A lot of pressurised golf as well.
There's a lot of pressurised golf.
Yeah.
But players like James has been through tour school a couple of times now. He
Yeah,
actually got his card.
Yeah, I know he
from
had
it.
his card. Yeah.
So that will be the journey that he has and is progressing on with.
Brilliant.
Some other good news, or
Yeah.
interesting news, my brother Paul has decided to go to tour school this year.
Brilliant.
So James has just been, and
Yeah.
obviously done it. He was down in Belgium. Paul is heading down to Molliette, which is in the south of France,
Yeah.
which is where he won tour school a number of years ago. Beat I think James Morrison, who's got his tour card, plays on the DP World Tour.
Yeah.
Got his tour card because I think he beat him by a shot and won that 18 under par he shot around there.
So is that first stage as well?
First stage as well.
Yeah.
Now the reason why Paul has gone for it this year, because he hasn't done it for a number of years, obviously he's playing well because he won the PGA Championships this year.
Yeah.
He has just recently won a Order of Merit event for the region, so he feels like he's playing well enough. And also the biggest kicker for maybe a lot of these players, obviously Paul's now 44, so he's got another 6-7 years before he gets onto before he has an opportunity to play on the seniors tour. So maybe this is gaining experience for that again.
Yeah.
Just kind of gauge where you're at on that sort of level. But if you get your tour card, you are given 150,000 euros to help towards your season.
Yeah, so the incentive now is massive, isn't it? That's going to pay for every tournament.
Well, pay for your year.
Yeah.
Pay for your year. And I didn't know that was the case. And back in the day when these boys were trying to qualify,
there was
back where our good friend John Bickerton was smashing it around and doing all that, they would not have been given any money.
No.
They had to get sponsors to get them covered, to cover all their expenses, and then if they did well, they would obviously earn enough from that to keep them going for year on year.
Brilliant, really, isn't it?
But 150k?
Yeah.
That's not bad, is it?
He needs to back himself more, Paul. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well,
and that, it may be that the incentive of having that additional sort of prize fund for an incentive is giving him that kick, but he's good enough and he should be competing at the highest level, same as James, and he should be testing himself on those tours. And if he's going to play on the Legends Tour or the Champions Tour, which I guess is the main aim, then he needs to be the next 4 or 5 years trying to get his card and playing at the highest level, so that when he goes into into the seniors, the over 50s, he's going to be at a stage where he feels ready for it, and it's preparation for that, because Paul is fitter now than he was 20 years ago, eats better, looks after himself better, still completely dedicated, and when he gets to 50, he's going to have an advantage over some of those guys with how fit and how healthy he is and how competitive he is. And that's got to be the aim. If he gets his DP World Tour Cup, which he could do. Wouldn't surprise you, would it? He needs 14 rounds of golf. He's put more than that together this year. Then absolutely brilliant. But if not, that experience he's gained from these type of events, playing against potential tour winners and all sorts of, and getting on playing the highest level you can, it's going to put him in brilliant position to then give that a real good go.
Yeah, I completely agree. Good opportunity for both of them, and let's hope they both
James is under 40,
bounce their way.
Late 30s, James?
Late 30s, yeah.
So still got time.
Yeah,
plenty of time.
Plenty of time. He's actually playing some of the best golf he's ever played, really.
And you've only got to look at people like Harrington, who's hitting the ball now further in his 50s than he was in his 30s and 40s, because of technology, the way things have advanced, the way they look after themselves, the fitness levels. You can have so longevity in golf. You're not finished when you're in your 40s like you used to be 20 years ago, 15 years ago. You can be I know it's an exception, but you can be a Bernard Langer winning on these tours at, any age, really.
Yeah, you really can. Well, that's the great thing about golf, isn't it? That's the great thing about golf, is the longevity with it.
Yeah, 100.
You even look at those players that we're talking about, those captains, the captains of the Ryder Cup teams. They're all still very competitive individuals.
A few of them wouldn't be out of place playing, would they?
No,
Let's be honest. If you shove one of them in there
Yeah.
and put him in a different body,
Yeah.
but his game, you'd be like, oh yeah, he should be a Ryder Cup player.
Couldn't agree more. And Freddie Couples is a prime example. He pegs it up every year in the Masters, and he's there or thereabouts every year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Certainly first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
He's knocking on the door all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a bit of a surprise if you don't see him on the leaderboard. You know,
His
so
name always pops up there.
his name always pops up there. But
Yeah.
it just shows that how good the game of golf is and how long people can play it for.
Why it's the best game in the world, Dan.
Correct. Well said, Bernie. Well said that. Well, on that note, I think that is everything that we had to talk about with regards to the Ryder Cup leading up to it. And I thank you for your time and your input into yet another great two-ball golf show.
No problem, Dan. Just keep the checks rolling in and I'll keep turning up.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you all again in the next show.
See you soon.